Recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mod 1 overview. So what we're doing with this is seeing what the end of Mod 1 looks like. So we have some sense of where these things kind of fit together. So effectively, what I'm going to do is the code challenge. You will not be able to do any new thing after this. It's not really a lesson, more like a demo. I'm going to talk about each of the standards in the mod. That's all going to be kind of based around that. Questions about what we're doing right now?
You're muted.
Sorry. So we're just listening, taking notes, and do you not want us to code along or anything? Just kind of hang back?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So don't code along. We're just trying to get a sense of why did we pick these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 standards? How do they fit together? What are you able to do with all of these things? That's the thing you're supposed to be taking out of this. So, all right, here's our standards for Mod 1. Not all of these are on the code challenge. So, in fact, these last 3 are not in the code challenge. We actually end up talking about this stuff more end of week 2, sometimes even like in Mod 3. The stuff I really want you to focus on is these first 5. So let's talk about dogs and owners. So let's say I wanted to make an app that kept track of who owns which dogs. So I would have some concept of what a dog is and have some concept of what an owner is. And my goal is that I can say something like, hey, Kyle, who are your dogs? It might also be something like, hey, Bixby, who owns you? And then I might be able to I might want to be able to say like, oh, by the way, this dog is owned by this person. This person got a new dog. So I want some kind of app that helps me keep track of that. That's really like what you're going to be able to do by the end of Mod 1. So we could say that, we can do this a couple different ways. Probably the simplest is that one owner has many dogs, and each dog has exactly one owner. This diagram, by the way, is called an ERD. So, all right, let's see how I would approach making this with Ruby. Oh, it's going to be the first time you see me use Vim and Tmux. And you're like, oh, God, why does this look like the 70s? Cool, so we'll call this Mod 1 Overview October. All right, so I have nothing in this folder, nothing up this sleeve, nothing up this sleeve. First thing that I'm going to do is make an environment RB file. So I have an empty file in this. That's the thing I'm going to run with my Ruby command. So just to show that we got nothing hinky going on, I can do some Ruby command, or Ruby statement like puts, hey, new friends. And if I run this, it poops that out to the screen. So that's going to be our point of entry is this environment file. I could have called it anything. So it's called environment right now. Could have also called it fart.rb and Ruby fart.rb, and hey, still works. All right, so oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. All right, so I have this environment file. I'm also going to make what we call Ruby classes that represent dogs and owners. So I'm going to make files for those. Let's say dog.rb. I'm going to make an owner.rb. So now I have 3 files in this folder, the one that I'm going to run with my Ruby command, and then the one that is going to keep track of my dogs, one that's going to keep track of my owners. So I'm going to open these up. All right, so the thing you are looking at right now is called Vim. It's a text editor. It's exactly like VS Code. It does not do anything different than VS Code. It runs on the command line, though. It's not a separate like window or anything like that. It's all integrated together. If it looks like it's from the 70s, it is. It's based on something from the 70s called Vi. But it is crazy fucking fast and makes it a hell of a lot easier for me to talk and explain what I'm doing while I'm coding. So these little things at the top, they're just like tabs in VS Code, same kind of thing. Instead of having like a file tree, what you'll see is I'll do things like that down at the bottom. That's me pulling up a file. So I can go, I want to go to the owner file, and it narrows it down and I can jump over there. That's all that's happening there. Cool. So the easiest way for me to do this is to say that I have a class named dog. I have a class named owner. And then I can pull those in to this environment file. I can require dog. I can require owner. And I'm also going to require something called binding.pry, which you probably have some familiarity with already. Pull in pry, and now instead of that put statement, I'm going to pry when I get down to the bottom of this. All that's doing is it lets me be interactive with my app. Whole point there.
Do you not need to put pry in quotes at the top? Is that a Vim thing or is that universal?
What do you mean?
Around the pry, like I was, like the learn code taught me to put quotes around pry. Is that?
It has quotes.
They're just hard to see. They're like red.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my fault. It's in an odd angle.
Yep. Cool. Any other questions about what I've done so far? I have 2 files. Go ahead.
When do you use require relative?
Require relative is, we'll also do folders and stuff. And so it's good for that. The rest of the time, I just use require. If I'm doing a single file, require.
So for folders, it's require relative. Files, it's require. Okay.
And the dot also is indicating that's a file, not some Ruby thing that I installed. Good questions. What else? All right. So now, if I Ruby environment RB, the program stops and lets me do stuff. Like, for example, I could say, hey, Bixby is a new dog. Oops. Bixby equals dog.new. Cool. So I got a new dog. Dope. I can say that Kyle is a new owner. Cool. That's what the app does so far. Now we can make that a little bit more descriptive. You can say, all right, anytime you're making a new dog, it should take in a name. And it should keep track of the name. We're going to do the same thing over on owner. So now what I could do, run that same thing, and I could say that Bixby is a new dog named Bixby. I could say that Kyle is a new owner named Kyle. One of the first things you got to wrap your head around in Mod 1 is that Kyle is not the string Kyle. Kyle is this whole thing. I might have all kinds of other attributes like my age, the shirt that I'm wearing, how loud I am. Like, well, all of those things make up me. This string is my name. So difference between those, what you are and then some part of what you are. But okay, I can make dogs and I can make owners now. So our goal was to be able to like answer these kinds of questions. Kyle, who are your dogs? Bixby, who owns you? All right. So you gotta have some way to make a relationship between those two things. Let's see what we can do. So if I want to be able to add a dog, I might make an add dog method that takes in a dog. And I could say something like, all right, well, that dog comes in. Then I want to say that the dog's owner is me. Now, like the syntax of that, the self, the at symbol, all that, we're going to talk a lot more about this week. But for right now, we can say that when I call this method and give it a dog, I'm saying that dog's owner is me. So it'll be like Kyle.addDog, Bixby, and then Bixby's owner is Kyle. So for this to work, the dog needs to know that it has such a thing as an owner. So we could say something like, owner starts as nil. And then we could say something like, owner equals, and it takes in an owner. And we do something like, at owner is owner. So we are creating a relationship between these two classes. These two classes know something about each other. This can take in some dog and say that its owner is me. So those two things have some kind of relationship. Now, the goal was to be able to get all of my dogs. So maybe I say something like dogs is, well, why don't you start by giving me every dog, and then I want you to only show me the ones where I'm the owner. So I could do a select that returns truthy for dog.owner is me. Now this is going to need some way to keep track of all the dogs. So every time we make a dog, we're going to keep track of it up here. So we'll say, hey, anytime you make a new dog, why don't you go ahead and throw it in there? And then we can call .all and get all those dogs back. So that's what's going to make that work. All right. Getting tired of typing out this Kyle and Bixby shit. So how about I put that in my environment? All right, start running it. All right, if I do Kyle.addDog Bixby, okay. And if I do Kyle.dogs, uninitialized class variable. All right, let's see what it is. So this told me that in dog.rb, so remember we talked about a personal empowerment protocol, reading the error message. This is saying in this file, on line 16, I tried to call all in this method, It's saying, yo, there's no add at all. I don't know what you're talking about. So let's see. So on line 16, I have add at all. Because it's actually add at dog. See, it's how the computer's trying to talk to you. Been programmed a long time. Makes mistakes like this all the fucking time. It's not a big deal. All right, so now try that again. We say, oops, mad about something now. Uninitialized class variable add at dog. Oh, I probably did somewhere else too. Yep. Like that. All right, so I'm back in. If I do Kyle.addDog Bixby, okay so far. If I do Kyle.dogs, undefined method owner for dog. Oop, because I have to do both of them. So this is saying in the owner file on line 12, it's saying there is no method called owner. So this is line 12. It said I called .owner. Do I have an owner method here? I don't. I have an owner equals method. So I can do something like that. And now I have an owner method. All right, let's try it again. So I add Bixby. I get my dogs. Holy smokes, there's my dog. Hey, Bixby, who's your owner? Oh, just Kyle, that's who. Hey, Kyle, who are your dogs? Hey, Bixby, who owns you? Can I have more than one dog? Let's see. If I do Mesa is dog.new, Mesa. And I say, hey, Kyle, can you add another dog? Can you add Mesa? Okay. Hey, Kyle, who are your dogs? Oh, just Bixby and Mesa. Mesa, who owns you? Kyle.
Did you write a method for add dog?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I don't even remember. Okay.
It is right here.
Okay.
Cool. So the thing that I just did is called a one-to-many relationship. Every owner can have many dogs. Every dog is owned by exactly one owner. So the thing that I just did, you should be just getting started at probably by the end of this week. The thing that's on the code challenge is one step past that. What you need to do by the end of next week is say that every dog can have more than one owner. So each owner can have many dogs, and each dog can be owned by more than one person or more than one owner. So I still want to be able to ask the same questions. And for, hey, Kyle, who are your dogs? I should get pretty much the same kind of response. But when I said, hey, Bixby, who owns you? I want to get back all of my owners, not just the one. This turns out to be quite a bit more complicated. So we call this a many-to-many relationship. And in Ruby classes, that looks something like dog. We're going to have a third class called dog owner. That's job is to keep track of every instance of a owner and a dog matching. So it looks like this. Make a new file for dog owner. So this is what my folder looks like now. We got this environment file and 3 files. Each of them has a class in it. So I call this class dog owner. also going to have an initialize method. It's also going to have an add@all method. And every time we make one, we're going to shovel ourselves into it. Then we need a way to read that. We'll say self.all returns that. Cool. And we make a new dog owner. It's going to take in a dog and an owner and keep track of both of them. So again, that middle thing, that is every like coincidence of a dog and an owner. So it might go something like Kyle is or Bixby's a dog, Kyle's an owner. Bixby's a dog, Elise is an owner. So those might be two instances of the dog owner class. Cool. So then over in owner land, this starts to look very different. We're adding a dog. What we're really saying is dog owner dot new and passing in the dog we were given and ourself. We're not keeping track of it on the dog anymore. We're keeping track of it in a third thing. I also need to make that third thing so that our app can see it. Cool. Now, if I want all of my dogs, that also looks a little bit different. I don't want dog.all because dogs aren't keeping track of who owns them anymore. I say dog owner.all, and then I want to select the ones where the dog owner.owner is me. That's going to give me the instance of dog owner. And then out of those, I want specifically just the dogs from those. So I would have something like my dogs are my dog ownerships dot map. Hey, weird. It's like this like map select reduce shit really comes in handy. And then I want to return my dog ownership dot dog, and then return my dogs. Cool. I wonder if it works. Let's add Elise as an owner. All right, so if I run this now, Kyle, why don't you add a dog for Bixby? Oops. So let's take a look at the error. In the owner file, on line 8 in the initialize method, I gave 2 arguments to something that was expecting 0 arguments. Owner, line 8. Let's take a look. Dog owner.new, dog self. This is like the kind of thing you run into in programming all the time. Who can spot the error? Doesn't require any knowledge of classes or anything.
Owner's assigned to owner and not self?
Nope.
Okay.
Good guess. It's on that line.
Because your arguments aren't in parentheses, do they need to be?
Nope. Parentheses are optional.
No doubt.
It is such a like simple duh shit error. Like I said, it has nothing to do. My
initialize is spelled wrong.
Yeah, initialize is spelled wrong. Ta-da! So many problems you're going to run into like that throughout your programming career. Happens to the best of us. All right. Kyle, can we add the dog Bixby? Okay. Kyle, can we add the dog Mesa? Oh, I don't have Mesa anymore. That's right. Elise, can you add the dog Bixby? She can. If I say, let's make Mesa. I say Mesa is dog.new Mesa, Kyle.add dog Mesa. Cool. If I say, Kyle, who are your dogs? Oh, shoot. Almost. Undefined method owner on line 13 of owner. Let's check it out. Cool. Dog.owner.owner. Do I have one? Shoot. Man, it sure is getting repetitive writing out stuff like that all the time. I wonder if there's a faster way to do it. There is. Spoiler alert. It's called an adder reader. This line and these 3 lines are the exact same thing. So I want to be able to read the owner. I want to be able to read the dog. God, aren't I doing something like that over here too? I am. Although this doesn't have an owner and owner equals anymore. Cool. Throw Mesa in here. And how about I add dog Bixby over to Kyle and also Elise. Elise and Kyle both own, oops, passed the string in. Both own Bixby. And I also own Mesa. All right, cool. Do it still work? Kyle dot dogs. Hey, Bixby and Mesa are both there. Weird. Hey, Elise, who are your dogs? Oh, just Bixby. So for this to work, I need to be able to do it from the other side too. I need to be able to say, hey, Bixby, who are your owners? So over on dog, I make a method for owners. And it ends up being an awful lot like this. I want all the dog owner records where I'm the dog. So I might say, only keep ones where dog owner dot dog is me. And then I did this one as like a whole bunch of different steps. Kyle, can you chain those things together? Yeah, you can. You can even just dot map right off the end of it. So you dot map, do dog ownership, and then bring back dog ownership dot owner. And I don't even need to save it and do a variable or anything first. I wonder if it works. So Kyle, who are your dogs? Oh, these two. Hey, Bixby, who are your owners? Oh, these two. Hey, Mesa, who are your owners? Just Kyle. Hey, Elise, who are your dogs? Just Bixby. So we have made an app that can answer these questions. Ta-da! The thing I just did is the code challenge, basically. So you shouldn't be able to do any of that right now. You should be able to do all of that by the end of next week. Let's take a look at the standards. We did a fair amount of just Ruby syntax-y kinds of things. All those like maps and selects and stuff, that was iterating over collections using built-in methods. And we sure built a lot of classes and objects in Ruby, and we looked at 2 different ways that we create relationships with them. that's how all this fits together. Ask me some questions about it.
So I know they say that everything's an object in Ruby. So what exactly does that standard mean by constructing objects?
So the fact that I made my own objects, like dog and owner, those aren't built into Ruby. I had to figure out a way to make my own. I need to say what kinds of methods they have. I need to say how those methods work. That's building classes and objects.
Okay, constructing your own. And then you find it better for your workflow to construct your classes and objects and stuff in different files and then import them into the one you're like building in, just like less going on, or?
Well, so let's think about what I would do if I didn't have this environment file. How would I do that? Because the only reason that it even pauses and like lets me type stuff in is because this binding.pry. Okay, cool. So maybe I put that in the like initialize and just do a binding.pry over here or something. Okay. Then do I do that in each one of these files? I need something that I'm actually choosing to run. Dog owner and owner are like descriptions of things that this program can do. The thing that I'm actually running is this, and it's using all of those, but all the work is getting done in this file.
Right. You would rather have like dog owner and separate files instead of just all in the environment file.
The entire thing could be jammed into the to one file, but then it gets substantially harder to read.
Right.
If like it gets any more complicated than this, tracking something down starts getting a little bit harder.
For sure. Kind of trivial, my last question. What's the key command to create a new line above the line you're on? Like when you type end and make a new one up there, I like that.
Like that?
I missed it. You're too fast. Yeah.
That?
Yeah.
That's a Vim thing. It's capital O in Vim. I'm sure there's a VS Code equivalent, but I don't know what it is.
Google it. Cool. Thanks.
By the way, like, learning Vim is not a good use of any of your time over the next 15 weeks. There's usually like one person I just cannot talk out of that. And so if that ends up being you, like I got some resources for you. Vim is dope as hell. But it is, and you should probably like pick it up at some point in your career. But if you never do, you'll be in very good company. And it is like a particular kind of wonky, but I don't regret it. So I started using Notepad++, which was like the hot text editor at the time. And then that got killed off for Sublime. And then that got killed off for Atom. And then that got killed off for VS Code. And now VS Code is like starting to fall out of favor. There's a new text editor. And I got fucking tired of that. And if you do a little bit of like Bayesian statistics, a text editor that's been around for 50 years will probably be around for another 50 years. So I cast my lot with Vim about 5 years ago and have not looked back. Other questions about what we're doing in Mod 1?
And it was the first time I saw, an enumerable placed to the end of on the end, basically.
I know, isn't that cool?
What?
Oh man, okay, so this and this are basically the same thing. Some of the words are different, but it's the same kind of logic flow. Mm-hmm. Check out what you can also do. I could write this exact same thing as dogowner.all.select, and then I could do this as I can do this with the bracket or the brace syntax. Do something like dogowner.dog equals self, and then I can chain the map off of that. And if you invoke it, this is called a pretzel method. All I want is the owner off of it. That line is exactly the same as that. How fucking crazy is that?
Wow.
Ruby, there's always like half a dozen ways to write anything in Ruby. I think it's one of the things that actually makes it fairly hard to learn. And that's not the case with every language. Like Python has the exact opposite thing as a design goal. Design goal of Python is that there's exactly one right way to do everything. Ruby's design goal was let the programmers write their shit however they want to write it, man. And you'll see that dichotomy show up in programming over and over again as like freedom versus control. More questions about what we're doing in Mod 1?
All right, this is a really basic question.
Yeah.
So when you say class, does that create a hash?
No. So hashes are different than this. So a hash is key value pairs. Now, I could do a lot of this kind of stuff with a hash. Like, let's say I had dogs, and dogs was an array of hashes. So it might have a name and an owner, and maybe that owner is also a hash. So maybe Mesa is maybe owned by Elise. All right, so I could do this kind of stuff and have like an array of hashes. I can have nested hashes. I can do all that kind of stuff. What I can't do is have these like behaviors that I made. I don't have a way to like go dogs at index 0 dot owners. So if I want to have more complex stuff than just this nested data, that's when you use a classes and objects.
So the class, so everything is an object.
Mm-hmm.
A hash is a specific type of object.
Correct.
And the class is an object that allows you to add methods into it?
Yes. I wouldn't worry too much about the inception-ness of this because, yeah, classes are also objects. And everything really is an object in Ruby. That, like wrapping yourself around like the cone-like nature of that is like not important. For right now, it's probably enough to think of a class as a cookie cutter and an object as a cookie. So I have just defined a shape that every dog has, and I can use that to make actual dogs. So dog with a capital D is the cookie cutter. Bixby is one of the cookies. Mesa is one of the cookies.
Okay.
And then these are just a way that we can have just data, no behavior. We can't really do much else with it. But I can keep some related data around.
Okay, thank you.
Talk about cookies at 11:59.
Other questions about what we're doing in Mod 1?
Those at symbols, I haven't really seen those before.
No, you haven't.
About those?
Yeah.
No, not really.
I agree.
So that's probably like, you might scratch at that a little bit tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get to it till Thursday. Those are called instance variables. That's how I can say, I made this cookie with this cookie cutter, and then I want you to keep track of this thing on the cookie.
So is it kind of like, does it have to do with scope?
It does. So this, I can get to this from any other method on here. So I can make a method called loud name that returns my name with 3 exclamation points. The reason that this method can see name is because it's an instance variable.
Okay.
If I do that, it's going to go, I don't know what a name is, because it was defined in a different scope.
And then the at is kind of the same.
The at is super similar, except This is owned by Bixby. This is owned by Mesa. This is owned by Dog. That's how I can get every dog owner instance. That's how I can get, let's see, I think it's the only one I'm using now. If I wanted to get a list of every dog, I could do dog.all. It's not Bixby.all. It's not Mesa.all. That's the two ats is.
Okay.
Kind of a general question. Tomorrow morning, should one of us say like, yo, I would like to learn about instance variables in classes today?
Sure.
Or is there probably going to be a class, like a lecture or whatever on something of that nature?
Well, we don't do lectures. We do
Right.
lessons. The
Yeah.
No, I like if you guys like get really shy and clam up, we'll kind of like nudge you along mother puppy style through mod 1. If you guys want to start asking for that stuff tomorrow, that would be goddamn great.
Cool.
Yeah, good call.
Other questions about what we're doing in mod 1?
One of my weaknesses is when I iterate over collections, I don't use built-in methods. So far, I've basically like built them all, or at most, I've done like dot each.
Sure.
Where should I go? What are the good labs? What's the good resource for trying to use more built-in methods?
All of these iterate over collections using built-in methods, and there is a oh shit, the labs went away. I will work on putting those back in today. I think some of them might be in the like Ruby basic programming proficiency. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of them in here. Yeah, there's a few in here. There's more though.
Is rubydoc.org a pretty solid source?
Yep. That is, in fact, the official source.
Wow.
So there's some good reading there. And if you go over to videos, and I know the search in this is crazy slow. It's like probably the highest priority for this app right now is getting it faster. But if you look up enumerables on here and then wait a while. Oh, me and John and Ahmed were talking about speeding this up, and then you guys showed up. So this is my favorite, like, in the entire videos thing. The creepiest looking picture of John and something called Advanced Blood Oath Methods. Oh, so good. Like, all of these. There's the Hashkapal stuff. There's review. Map select, reduce, map select, reduce. It just keeps going. So we got lots and lots of videos there also if like you're just champing at the bit. But I'm going to try to get you guys some more labs because we got some good ones. But yeah, I would say like your first priority is like being solid on Ruby syntax stuff and being really good, especially with map and select. But like reduce is a little bit trickier. It's not crazy trickier though. Getting like comfortable with those, find any of that kind of stuff. That's like job number 1. Once you're like solid with that, the classes and object stuff is going to go a lot easier.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Anything else?
This is off the subject, but when we get back, I'm just having trouble logging into my Firebase app so I can go through those labs.
You don't have a login for it. That's just for staff.
Ah, okay, cool.
Nope.
Then that's it. Thank you.
Me being logged in is how I can like trash this stuff and add tags and delete tags and stuff. But nope, doesn't need login. Anything else? All right, let's have a fun mod 1. I don't know why we're clapping. We're just in a fucking lesson. Come on. Oh, it's lunch for everybody.
Clap! Come on.
I'll clap. All right, on 3. 1, 2. Here's the